They need some strong stimulus. Honey, I
Doppelgangers, which have the exact appearance of their victims. Detectable, which is the entity that deceived Joseph and the shepherds. And there is Type 3, which does not have a name but refers to the alternates that have impossible biological features, which are displayed in the tape. The final shot of the broadcast is what a Type 3 alternate looks like, and this one has made its way into someone's home. It does seem likely that the entity could be in control of the alternates that are terrorizing people of 1981. And as for a potential reason of why the entity would even do this, a potential motive could be that the entity is trying to get rid of those who oppose him and replacing them with doppelganger alternates who will follow in its footsteps, praising it as a god. Episode 3, The Mandela Catalog, Volume 1. For the first part of this episode, we do get the same thing from the last episode about the broadcasts and the different types of alternates, but in the middle of it, it does cut out and we do get this conversation from two people named Mark Heathcliff and Cesar Torres, and they are both labeled as victims 1 and 2. The conversation goes as follows.
Hey, it's Cesar. I hope it's not too late.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. What's up? Are you alright?
Yeah, it's not me, it's my mom. She's knocked out cold and I have no idea why. I'm on my way to the ER, but could you do me a favor?
Yeah, of course. What is it?
I just need you to come over and turn on the cameras we have set up. You know the ones that we installed after we were robbed?
Oh, yeah. Would you mind if I asked why?
Well, she screamed really loud right before I found her on the ground. I just...
Well, do you have your doors and windows locked? Like what the broadcast told us to do?
Yeah, that's the weird part. Maybe she saw something? I don't know.
Alright. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. I'm just gonna switch them on and get out of there, though. You know how I feel about your house.
Yeah, that's fine. Alright, I gotta go. I'm almost at the hospital. Thank you.
So based off of this conversation, there are a few things to note. Firstly, it doesn't seem that Mark and Cesar are really close friends, but rather it seems like they are neighbors or at least live in the same vicinity based on how they talk to each other. Mark says things like, "Would you mind if I asked why?" And Cesar saying things like, "Hey, it's Cesar. I hope it's not too late," when he first calls Mark.
Hey, it's Cesar. I hope it's not too late.
So it does make me think that they aren't really that close, but are rather acquaintances slash neighbors, and Cesar is just asking Mark for a favor. They also do talk about the broadcast, saying that they need to lock their doors and windows. And Cesar mentions that his mom screamed really loud before she fell on the ground, and now he needs to take her to the hospital, going as far to even mention that she may have even saw something.
Maybe she saw something? I don't know.
And the thing that she saw was this alternate from the last episode. So this entire sequence at the end of the last episode was from the perspective of Caesar's mother, which directly leads to this conversation that's happening right now. So shortly after, Mark agrees to the favor and goes to Caesar's house to turn on the cameras. And we receive this audio log that was recorded at 5:34 a.m.
Get away from me!
And we can assume that this voice is from Caesar's mother when she first saw the alternate.
Get away from me!
Then a message from Mark appears on screen saying, "It followed me home, Caesar." And that's when we hear an alternate trying to deceive Mark from outside of his room.
I have a gift for you. I have a present. I have a surprise.
Mark says two things. I do not want to see what is on the other side, but it's been days and nobody has come to help me. And that's when Mark finally loses it and is forced to open the door and attempts to shoot the alternate.
You fucking bastard!
But the alternate survives and says, "Bad decision, Mark." And based off the operator on the phone, Mark has been trying to call the authorities for several days. Utilizing the part of the think technique that the broadcast told him to do. But nobody answered, and nobody came. Having been stuck in his room with no food or water, Mark did the only thing that he could do, and tried to kill the alternate. But unfortunately, he failed and was killed in cold blood. Nobody came for me. The next piece of footage that we do get is from the Mandela County Police Department training video. Noted this is illegal footage that only authorities are allowed to see. But the strange part happens when it describes what to do when somebody is calling about an alternate encounter.
Do not help a caller reporting an alternate encounter, no matter how frantic their screams are. Calmly reassure the caller that help is on the way. The call can be ended when they stop responding to your questions. Do not speak too much. You might accidentally reveal your fear.
And the closing statement is, "Nothing is worth the risk."
Nothing is worth the risk, nothing is worth the risk, nothing is worth the risk.
And based off of the first broadcast dated 1981 and Mark's encounter with the alternate dated 1982, alternates have been around for at least a year. And so authorities have made the decision to never help anybody calling about an alternate encounter. Instead, they tell 911 operators to deliberately lie to callers and to leave them for dead, because according to them, it's just not worth the risk. And based off of Mark's encounter with an alternate, a bullet from a handgun is not enough to kill an alternate. And in this point in the series, we don't even know if it's even possible to kill an alternate. In the original broadcast, it says that you may attempt to execute an alternate yourself, but this could just be the government giving people hope.
Special K is oven toasted to crisp perfection, then tossed with yogurty goodness.
That it's possible to kill an alternate, when in reality, it's simply not. The last segment of the third episode is a toddler stress assessment video. It's pretty much telling parents to record their child's response to the following media, but that's not really that important. What's really important is when the video cuts and we get this story created by Mark, the same Mark that was trapped by an alternate and died in 1982. However, this story was created by Mark when he was only 4 years old. Mark tells a story about a night that his dad didn't check under his bed, so he went to his mom's room because he heard knocking on the door. And as he approached his mom's room, that's when he saw a man in the corner, and then he just fell asleep, and that's how the story finishes. So I do have a big theory of what's going on here, so get ready. So what I think happened is that Mark used to live in Caesar's house, when he was a kid, of course. But then he moved out somewhere else, somewhere nearby, because he still lives nearby the house. But that's when Caesar and his mother moved into Mark's old house. And this would explain this piece of dialogue that Mark tells Caesar.
I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. I'm just gonna switch them on and get out of there, though. You know how I feel about your house.
The reason he feels so off-putted by Caesar's house is because it was the same house that he saw an intruder in his home. However, what's strange is that Caesar says the reason that he installed these security cameras in his house is because one night he was actually robbed.
I